Alright, welcome all to my mob grinder video for an SMP server. It's a friends multiplayer server. Basically what we have here is a spawning tower that's about 8 floors tall and dark on each floor, with water in the center that pushes the mobs into the 4 corners. You don't want any water in the middle because mobs can't spawn on water, but they'll jump into the water. And then it leads down where they're pushed by about a 2 wide bit of water into the trench, since my trenches are exactly close to the building and I needed to push them over a little first. I also have trenches around the entire area of the base, the perimeter, and they act as walls as well as another part of the mob grinder so that any mobs can fall in from the sides. The way I figure is if I'm going to put a giant wall around a mob grinder, it might as well help me grind mobs. You can place this tower anywhere you want, but the best place is probably near your spawn point, because near chunk 0 is where the mobs are going to have a better chance of spawning. You can't put them about 24 blocks away from your base, because you can't build blocks, around your spawn point, because you can't build blocks about 24 around your spawn point, but anywhere around there should be fine. If you're wondering about this is pretty simple to make. You just need to make a drop zone by placing just signs at each block. See, this sign is considered a block here, so the entire area is holding up this water. Now, as long as it's 2 by 2, you can do that throughout the entire wall and just create this barrier to hold up the water. But if you wanted it to be 3 by 3 to make a better drop zone, what you can do is just place a sign on the ground, and when it sticks up, the water will fall down in and just sort of get stuck on the sign. And you can do that for about as far as you want. I don't really like the look of that, so I don't do it. I stick to the 2 by whatever designs. You can make it about as long as you want, but whatever you need. Now here we have spiders just sort of dying here, and see how they're jumping into the lava, and they're going pretty high up and they stay there. That's kind of bad, because a lot of the times the drops will burn. I've seen it happen many times when I was first making this area, and I decided to do something about that before it became too big of a problem. So what I've done is started building cacti. That was actually to solve a couple problems. The last cacti I started placing was these. Or actually, I think this was the second to last. The outside wall was the last. But this was the second to last cacti I placed. And basically what it does is it prevents the spiders from climbing up in this corner and getting stuck, because they can see you through the wall, and wherever they can see you, they'll try to go to. So they come through here, and then they climb up this corner, and then they just get stuck here. And luckily I have space here to build a cacti so that when they climb up the corner they're gonna die, because I sit down here and they can see me through the walls because they're hacking. It's ridiculous. Lots of efficient drops here. It's nice. I don't know why I put a pressure plate here. It was originally to stop the water flow, but I moved it. I kept it because, I don't know, I sort of fell in love with the pressure plate. It's very nice. A lot of the problems we have here is with chickens in these sort of things. People seem to have a lot of problems with them, so what you can do with that is just put indents in your walls and put torches in the indents or whatever other light source you really want. Chickens for some reason really like light like any other animal, but they're kind of unique in the fact that they're small, and they're just going to sit here whenever you build these lights. So you pretty much have almost an incubator-esque place here where chickens just lay eggs in these things, and you can just walk around the edge and pick them up. So in essence you have an egg farm inside your monster spawner, or grinder. It's a spawner too, whatever, but it's in the grinder. So you basically can get eggs for cake there. Talk about cake more later. Up top here we got more cacti. See down there we have cacti to prevent spiders from crawling up the wall. As I said, spiders are pretty dumb, so they just like to climb any walls even if they can't get to you just because you're there. So if they see you through the wall at the collection area, they're gonna climb up the wall to get to you, and I put cacti here to prevent that because they make an obnoxious splashing noise as they climb up the wall and then immediately sort of glitch fall down. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's just my lag, but they sort of splosh constantly, and it's annoying when you have a bunch of spiders being dumb out here. eventually they start piling up. So what you do is you just place cacti at each interval here and make sure they have plenty of room behind them and to their sides. Then they won't grow any higher, obviously, but because it's exactly at the lip, the spiders will just kill themselves here, and instead of burning a lot of their goods there, which I found out was a problem originally, they will have a chance of hitting their goods on the cacti, but it's a much lower chance than them burning their goods whenever you're at the collection area. So it's pretty convenient. Over here we have the other cacti to prevent them from crawling up the inner wall of the outer wall, and basically it runs on the purpose of cacti being thinner than the blocks. You can see there's a lip there, and when the spiders crawl up, they get stuck there, being too wide and one tall, and they can no longer go any higher, so they just kill themselves in a similar fashion as there. Now, more on cake. Delicious cake. Oh, these are the goods I've collected so far while building this, so it's pretty convenient, pretty efficient. The sheer amount of arrows you can get by just arrows and feathers is ridiculous. And then the TNT is nice. I got a stack, about 2 stacks worth of mats to make TNT. But more on cake is wheat. Wheat is necessary, obviously, for cake, so what you want is a good wheat farm. And it's really boring sometimes farming wheat, even though it doesn't take long and you get 30 out of this one farm. But what I don't like is going down a road just to collect drops. It's kind of annoying. Now, I could build a wall here, but then I wouldn't have irrigation there, and I like irrigation. So what I did was I put the water there, going down here under glass, and then down there. Just enough to irrigate everything, as well as create a good 8 by, I don't know, whatever, so everything flows into one singular area. Good thing is I can just hit all these, come around, hit all these, etc., just going around. But if I've already broken all of the stuff, I don't want to go up a road just to collect drops, so that prevents that from being necessary. As I'm replanting, everything just sort of flows down here from these two sides, so I could just go down here and collect them. I might think this is a problem since you have to come up here just to jump up, but since this is the southwest corner and there's water here and here, you can interact as if it was some sort of water ladder, which really it is, and just climb up by holding space. Except you don't want to press left too early to the side, or you will obviously fall off early. Bad if you make a really huge water ladder. But yeah, all this wood here and glass is for a purpose. I wanted to just put dirt or something because it's a farm. I like dirt. I don't know why. But this prevents animals from trampling over your supplies here, because animals like grass, but they also are very angry and they like to trample all over your crops. So if you place your crops near a place where animals are spawning, they're just going to jump all over it. This is the first problem I had when I built this farm, is animals were just immediately, I planted them and immediately like 3 sheep ran up and started trampling on them and they turned to dirt. It was completely ridiculous. I had to crush some more grass and get some more seeds just to plant it. I don't know where the sheep came from too. This place was barren. They just spawned near me. It was ridiculous. They must have, I don't know, came from some other place. Is ridiculous. But what you can do is just set up a fence. I really can't wait until gates get put in. This looks horrible. You can make this place a bit more efficient. I mean, it's good for getting items, so if you want to get more items in the process, we already have a mob farm, we have an egg farm, we have a farm, which is, obvious, but we also have a lot of cacti usage, and you might not have all that cacti right immediately. So you can build a standard lip, and while you're doing that, you can also be adding a little bit of cacti at a time, and you can take a modification of my design for the wall, which is pretty easy to build, and I think this might work. I haven't tested it out, but I think it should work. what you're going to need is basically to build a ceiling and a wall for your cacti. Now, as I said, I haven't tested it, but the concept seems to be there. Pretty much, whenever the cacti grows, it's going to break off, and then it has a very ridiculously slight chance of falling into the water below, and therefore your entire wall also becomes a huge cacti farm at the same time. So as you're building your wall, the cacti portion of it, you can be gathering cacti for it, and then you would also have more stuff for more cacti deterrence later for the rest of your base or grinder or whatever. I haven't tested it, but I think maybe since they're too wide and this is only a 1 square where the lip is, it should probably work to prevent spiders from climbing, but I haven't tested it as I've said, so I'm gonna have to test that sometime. Another way you can make it more efficient is by making your towers floors 3 thick. It's probably the best you're gonna get, since the algorithm needs a empty space to spawn a mob in the first place, or a pack of mobs, that is. So I have mine about 4 thick because I made it 3 thick, and then I put it out 1 to build the platform and made it another 3 thick, so it became pretty much 4 thick each floor. I liked it because it was easy to build, but if you want more efficiency, you might want to go with just a pure 3 or whatever. Another thing you can do, which I might do in the future, but it would take a bit too much work for me to care about. This is already pretty much overkill. You saw the chest full of stuff. But you can build trenches off in each direction and connect it to another tower at the corners and in the center, and maybe even more. And you can add entire extra towers, each with maybe their own grinder, because you don't really want too many towers linking up to a single kill area. Then stuff will end up just getting clogged, and if it gets clogged too bad and you have only glass in your area, like here, there's only 1 thick glass, so if it's clogged too bad and I were to relog, I think the mobs would probably push their way through the glass if there were too many pushing each other. So you want to avoid that as much as possible. You don't want a creeper being pushed through whenever you log back in and exploding all over you. It's disgusting. So there are plenty of ways to make it a bit more efficient, more long-lasting, more items per hour. As you can see, there's not many right now because I've been near this area too much, I think, and all the way around it, so mobs are spawning outside of the area. What you want to watch out for is there's a cap of 200 mobs at once. That was a bit of lag. But there's a cap of 200 mobs at once. So if you have a bunch of mobs outside, you're not going to see a bunch of mobs inside, because once it reaches that cap, you have to wait till the mobs despawn before you can get more in here. So your tower's not going to fill up unless outside isn't a problem. That's why it's good to extend outward in all directions until you reach about the 128 block mark. That way you get as many mobs as possible. So I hope you've had a little bit of inspiration perhaps with this video. Actually, I probably don't care, since I'm not getting paid for generating inspiration, and I'm not even getting paid for you watching this, so I actually really don't care. So if you have any questions, I'll be sure to ignore them. If you have any suggestions, I will be sure to take them. And if maybe I get a lot of requests for a specific tutorial, I might make one. So I would say thanks for watching, but again, I really don't care. So see you next time.